Smoke screen set.
Alright, so we're back once again, and today it's going to be a guide. We're going to be focusing on the Tier 9 Fletcher, the USDD. It's one stop before you get to the Tier 10 in the gearing, so I thought, you know, the Tier 9 is usually a pretty long grind, so you're going to have to get used to this ship, so I thought, why not provide a great guide for it? So with that being said, let's go into some of the characteristics of this ship. This ship's a bit different to the Tier 10. I've been playing a lot of the gearing recently, and moving back to the Fletcher, it's a bit of a wonky experience, at least for the first couple of games. The main difference being the 5x1 configuration of the main battery. Now the gearing has a 3x2, and it just feels really different. The gearing feels really smooth, whereas the Fletcher seems very kind of chunky. It's very difficult to explain. But with that being said, it's 5.1, 127mm. The unique characteristic of the USDDs is that they can they're a bit of a hybrid. They can go between being a torpedo and being a gunboat really easily. Now, they're not masters of either, but they can switch between them really easily. And when you add into the fact that these ships have really good concealment, it ties it all together really nicely. That being said, 5x1, 127mm. Generally, you're only going to be using artillery when you have your smoke up, and the smokes are really good. They last about 130 seconds, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 130 seconds. Let's see. 127 seconds. Okay, well, I was close enough. This is your bread and butter. If you're not torping, you're smoking, you're shooting, you're doing all that good stuff, you're getting as much damage as possible, and the potential for really high damage numbers on this ship is really good. That being said, let's start from the start. Let's go through everything. Okay. Consumables. You're going to want premium heal or premium damage con. That's a given. And premium smoke. That's a given. You're not going to want to take speed boost all that much because honestly it's not going to make all that much difference. Let's go into upgrades. Upgrades. Main armaments modification 1. That's a given. Propulsion modification 1. Again, you're just really protecting everything because the gearing's a bit of the Fletcher's a bit of a chunky ship. The potential to get like either your propulsion knocked out or your steering gears knocked out is really high, even with these modifications. So keep that in mind, because I've played 3 games in the past, just recently, just there today, and I think my propulsion got knocked out in all 3 games for a minute. So bear that in mind. These things are really important. We also go with aiming systems. Again, you have a hybrid between the gunboat and the torpedo, so aiming systems always helps. Propulsion modification 1. It's always nice if you're trying to cap and you're just trying to get away, you angle out, and then if you spot a enemy DD like a Kitakaze or something like that, you can just accelerate out of the cap really quickly. Really good. Concealment, that's bread and butter for DDs. And torpedo tubes modification 3. Now, the thing is I can't think of a better option to take. Now, you might be able to take main battery mod 2, but I don't think the reload time of 12% is really worth it all that much. The traverse is slow enough. No, you don't really want to push it anymore. But with the torpedo tube reload time of 15%, that's really, really nice. Really nice. That means you can torp really quickly, really consistently. There shouldn't be too much downtime in the game where you don't have torps either in the water or about to go into the water, which, again, is really nice. Alright, let's go to captain skills. Now, this is my Fletcher captain. I'm working on getting them retrained and stuff. But the one thing you can do, which I did when I was grinding through the USDD line, is that you can use basically the same captain from ship to ship. So if you go from like tier 4 to tier 5, you can take your tier 4 captain that you have progress on and shift them onto the tier 5 USDD, and generally it's going to work pretty goddamn well. You can do that the whole way down the line, so when you get to tier 10, you actually have basically a 17-18 point captain ready to go for the gearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my gearing build, and this is going to apply over to the Fletcher 99% of the time. There's going to be no real difference. So with that, we go preventative maintenance, we go adrenaline rush, and then we go superintendent, obviously, that's probably one of the most important skills, and then obviously concealment expert. Now, after you get those 4 skills, you're going to want to go last stand, survivability expert, which is really important, and I'm probably going to go radio location. I think that's just having that extra bit of knowledge of where, you know, a near ship is by, and is really important, and you're not going to really use AA all that much. I mean, it's not going to be all that important. You're definitely not going to use IFHE. But yeah, that's the captain skills. That's what I go with. It works in the gearing. It's going to work in the Fletcher pretty well. So that's that sorted. Okay. External. Again, you want to take the concealment camo. That's 3%. Is always nice. I think yeah, concealment expert. I mean, not concealment expert, but the concealment is really good. And then any other resources you need, you can just take them. If you need XP, take an XP. If you need credits, take a credit camo. As long as you have that concealment there, because it's really important. And that gives you concealment. No, wait, I'm still talking about the gearing. That ultimately, that's going to take you down to around about 5.8, 5.9 concealment total, which is really goddamn good. I mean, the gearing gets down to about 5.9, and I think the Shimakaze gets down to maybe 5.7. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's such good concealment for a DD. So keep that in mind. Maximize concealment, and yeah. So that means you're able to get even closer to shoot your torps because you have 10.5 kilometer torps. So if you can get that close, start rifling off torps, you're almost guaranteed to hit something. I mean, unless you're aiming, you know, on the other side of your ship by accident, you're guaranteed to hit something. Okay. Flags, again, you're just going to take detonation flags if you want to. The thing, I probably would take fire flags on the ship, just because the percentage change on fire chance is really high. So if you have a ship with like 5% fire chance and you give it an extra 1%, in effect what you're doing is you're increasing its fire chance by 20%, because you're going from 5 to 6. So I think taking flags on DDs, things with low fire chance, is actually not that bad of an idea. You can take Sierra Mike, extra 10% or extra 5% is always nice. I can't think of anything else really other than detonation flags, speed of fire maybe, and then economic flags. You can pretty much take whatever you need. I'm not really going to comment too much on that. Oh, and yeah, take reload time of consumables and squadrons. 5% is really nice, especially with how flimsy the propulsion mods or the engine and the steering gears are on the ship. Having that extra 5% reload time on your damage con can come in really clutch. Really, really clutch. But that being said, I think that covers pretty much everything about this ship. Again, it's a hybrid. You're going to be playing it both ways. You're going to be playing it as a torp boat sometimes. You're going to be playing it as a gunboat other times. Your smoke's really good, really good. It's basically a 2-minute smoke. Yeah, it's exceptional. The versatility of the ship is probably its strongest aspect. And then you tie in that with a really good concealment. There's so many options. And probably the biggest thing in game is you're going to have to be aware of radars. And when we jump into the game, I'm going to really focus that point home. So yeah, let's actually jump into some gameplay. Alright, let's get into some of the gameplay. We're obviously playing the Fletcher. We have our premium smoke. We have our premium damage con. We don't have premium engine boost because it's not going to be necessary. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the team compositions, and we're going to see what's actually on the enemy team. Now they have a Jean Bard, no radar, Frederick Grove, no radar. Musashi, no radar. North Carolina, no radar. Vanguard, no radar. Henri, he's going to be too far away to even radar me. Hindenburg, now Hindenburg does have a long range hydro. I think it's around 6 kilometers, so we need to be wary of that. But the occasions that we're actually going to be that close to the Hindenburg, that's actually going to matter, is going to be minimal. So we can kind of disregard that to an extent. Smolensk, no radar. Does have hydro, but again, we're not really concerned by that. Donskoy does have radar, which is 12 kilometers. I think Russian cruisers are 12 kilometer radar. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if I am wrong. And of course, the Black has radar too, but I think it's pretty short range. Most DD radars are short range. Now, interesting thing about the Black is that it does have smoke too, so we need to be wary of that also. Any random smokes, and then eventually you're going to get popped up and radared and die. But again, we're going to have to be wary of that. Kitakaze, no radar. Kid, no radar. So again, always be wary of what ships have radar, especially when you're playing any kind of DD. Now, some DDs this will matter more than most. If you're particularly playing like a Julian DD, it's not going to matter all as much, but it still does matter obviously because you don't want to be focused by 13 ships and then die. And as you can see, immediately radared. Now, see the Kitakaze and we see the Kid popping up, and I type radar as the Donskoy because look how far away I am from the cap. There's no way the Black's radaring me from that range. And seeing as the Kid's now in the cap, it's obviously the Donskoy radar, which just runs out. I'm going to type that again, I'm pretty sure. And that gives us the freedom now to push in because we see the Kid having smoked up. And if he's not smart, and I don't think he is, he's not going to move out of that smoke, which gives me the freedom to torp him. Now, the one thing you want to do when you see an enemy DD in smoke, and especially if they've just smoked up, is that, think about it this way. They've just smoked up to think, oh, thank God, I'm safe. Time to start reversing, because I don't want the ships to shoot at me where the last position of where the smoke was, if that makes sense. So they're immediately going to start reversing, and so you need to, if you're going to shoot torps of smoke, you're going to need to shoot them to the middle and the end of the smoke, you know, the farthest point away from where the DD was last spotted. And it's going to increase your hit rate by a hell of a lot. 100%. When I started doing that, I started getting more consistent hits in smoke. I started doing a lot more damage too. But with that, and you see we got a hit right there in the Kid. Now he's still in the cap, but he's not anymore because that scared him off. Now we're free to cap this point up. Now what was I going to say? It gives us the freedom to push into the cap, but again we have to be wary of the Donskoys. Basically, we're going to get radared again. Now that's just going to happen, but we have to put ourselves in such a position where we can't actually be caught out or damaged as a result of being radared. My smoke's useless. We see the Vanguard at 13.4 kilometers, and the main thing I'm worried about right now isn't the fact that the Black has just capped B a while ago, and he could potentially be swatting me, because I'm not worried about that. I can probably take on the Black in a 1v1. Maybe I can't, but we have the Heisenyang right there beside us. So again, the Black isn't scary. It's the fact if I get crossfired via Vanguard and a Henri on my right hand flank while I'm radared, that's the scary part right here. But we see the Henri is 17 kilometers, the Vanguard's pulling out towards the edge of the map. So again, that risk is minimized significantly, and we get through the radar pretty well. And now all we have to do is just cap this point. We see the Jean Bart pushing a little bit, and I'm prepping my torps just in case I see him pushing up a little bit too far. And obviously we see the Black pop up. Again, not too concerned about that. I don't want to expose myself. Well, in general, I don't want to expose myself, but in this game, I don't want to expose myself by giving away my position. That way, if I was to rush out here right now, and push the Black to an extent, Donskoy is going to hit me. The Black's going to radar. There's no way I can get undetected again. And the Jean Bart is going to focus me. Now, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have shot here. I'm just opening myself up to being shot at by the Henri and the Vanguard. And I needed to be more aware of that flank. So at this point, I know... that's a bit lucky too. But I know that at this point, I'm not going to be detected by the Jean Bart. I've got smoke right in front of me that I can quickly dive into, if in case I need to. I've got the smokes on me. And I think the Donskoy should only have one more radar left. To be, I think so, because he already used 2, and he should have 3, I think, maximum. So in that case, I'm always going to go for the cap. Always going to go for the cap. It makes the most sense. I mean, like, your list of priorities as a DD should basically be capping, damage output, killing. Like, you should never focus damage. That should always be a byproduct of playing well and focusing the objectives. So we see the black pop up. And he immediately smokes. Now at this point, I know the risk of being radared is extremely high. We get radared either by the Donskoy or the black. I'm not entirely sure at this point. And I immediately dive into the cap. Now an interesting thing here is that if he hadn't have radared me, I probably would have continued straight ahead. And as a result, or if I hadn't have spotted the black right here, I would not have turned into this island to avoid the radar and dodge those torps. Sometimes it's better to shoot torps and just remain undetected than try and do extra damage just for the sake of it. And this is a prime example of it right here. I would have probably eaten at least one of those torps right there. Instead, I get protection from both radars, or maybe not both radars, but at least one radar, and I take no damage from the torps. So it's the best of both worlds. At this point we have 3 caps, and you're thinking, how can we lose this game? Well, you're in for a bit of a wild ride. You see, we're pushing quite significantly on the left-hand flank, and they don't seem to want to contest A, although the Vanguard is pushing into that point right now. And we still have to deal with the fact that the black's really strong. The kid's probably in A right now, which means the Hindenburg and the Friedrich Grove is a little bit isolated. And at this point, I'm just trying to hold on to A, or hold on to B as much as possible. Sometimes it's much better just to be an invisible barrier than it is to actually be proactive and try and deal damage in the game. Again, we're going to use the smoke, just so we can stay in the cap, prevent it from being capped, and be undetected. Now you'll notice I haven't actually used any of my smokes yet so far this game, and to be honest, there's never been like a real reason to. I've never been in a position where I can actually just start opening fire on ships, and that's mostly to do with the fact that I'm being really conscious of where the radars are. Generally, the juiciest target when you're playing, and there's another radar, so we're ready to pop out away. Now right now we're going to pop speed boost. I'm pretty sure that's the black's radar. He's seen my guns shooting out of the smoke, and this is a prime example of when you're going to get radared. You're not going to get radared just driving around the place. You're going to get radared when you're shooting out of smoke most of the times, because the enemy ships are just going to see, oh, there's smoke flares coming out of that smoke. Oh, better radar. That being said, I got caught out here to an extent, and again I waited until the radar ran out, and then I turned away, immediately smoked up just to get out of that scenario, because I was never going to win that scenario, not in a million years. And now you see we're in a bit of an awkward position, because I basically have to give up control of B, mostly because there's 2 DDs right here, and I'm not really sure what happened to our other DD. Who was our other DD? Oh, the Yugumo. Yeah, we did kill 2 ships, so we did do a decent amount of work, but at the same time it would be nice to have 3 DDs here. Not really sure what our Heizhang's doing, to be completely honest. But then again, I don't think we could contest B regardless. I'm just throwing out some speculative torps. Again, the cooldown is really good on these torps, so there's no reason not to just completely keep throwing them out. Keep the rate of fire really high. The only thing it really affects is your credits at the end of the game. Actually, I'm not sure if amount of torps you throw out actually affects the ammunition cost at the end of the game in credits. Yeah, it probably does, but yeah, we'll see. That being said, these torps aren't going to hit anyone, because they're only 10.5 kilometers and they're well outside that range. And if you look on the minimap, you can see that the black is bumping into Heizhang. God, I can't pronounce that. I don't think either of them's going to go down. They haven't lost anywhere near enough HP. And that sound right now is me focusing on these torps, being dodged by the Donskovoy and bumping into the Hindenburg. Yeah, there we go. So again, this left-hand flank now is really disconnected from the game. So I'm not, like, the Vanguard's basically out of the game, to be honest. So what I'm hoping to do now is I see the kid and I see the black and I see the positions on the map right now. And we're thinking, could I maybe squeeze in between B and C and not have to go the whole way around? Let me point this out. Maybe I could squeeze right in here and maybe try and contest B. And if I needed an escape route, I could just jump into C right here. And this is my plan right now. Because I didn't want to waste the extra time to get all the way around here. Because I think the game will be over by that point. So this is basically my last ditch attempt to try and save the game, because I know the way it's going. We're pretty much on our last legs, to be honest. This is something I did, this is something I was forced to do. Shooting like staggered torps. So I shot those first volley. Now the Musashi thinks he's free. He thinks he's happy days. We're good to go. So he turns back out. And what he doesn't expect is that there's another 5 torps coming straight for him. So he turns out thinking he's safe, and boom, he gets hit by another couple of torps. And we do a decent amount of damage. Now at this point I think I'm pretty free. So I decide to turn in a little bit. I immediately get detected and I'm thinking, oh god, here we go. Now at this point, maybe the better option would have go straight ahead. Straight into C, but there's just too many ships here right now. I get radared. I immediately turn it because I want to create the biggest amount of distance between me and the black as possible. But yeah, it's just not possible, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure I go down here. But again, the Fletcher's a really versatile ship. Now, this game was more focusing on the torps. Now, we did get them detected, but we get detonated by the Musashi by accident. Now, this game was more focusing on the torp abilities of the ship, but the gunboat abilities is still there. You know, in a game with maybe less radars, or I'm playing on the other side of the map, where I get away from the 2 radars, I can use that gunboat ability to the maximum. I can smoke up and start firing out salvos all day long. It just so happened I was on the other side of the map. I had to contest caps, and so as a result, you have to focus the ship's abilities on the situation that's present. And I did that to focus on the torping ability. We get a couple hits, we get a decent amount of damage, 53,000. Again, not spectacular, not terrible, but at the same time, I don't want these guys to be something, look at this 200k game I did, that's never repeatable. You can probably have this thought process consistently and do consistently decently in games. And that's what it's about. It's not about, you know, having Super Unicom games every single game. It's about improving your own gameplay. So at the end of the day, you're becoming a better player. So I hope you learned something. If you liked it, you can subscribe. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.